So today's craft challenge is macrame. Last year I did pick up a macrame kit in Aldi and the results weren't very good, and I didn't actually feel like it was proper macrame. However, I had lots of macrame cord left over, and I now have a summer hat that needs to have the floaty ribbon replaced because it's not really me. And I thought having a macrame edging would be quite nice. So it's as good a time as any to learn how to do macrame. I chose to use tutorials made by Majestic Macrame, and I will pop the link for those tutorials and the channel in the video description. I found that she gives very clear instructions and the videos are very well made. So the first snag that I hit was, how much cord do I use? I want to make sure that my finished result is big enough or long enough to fit all the way around the hat, but I don't know how much more cord I will need for the project. So I took a guess at the cord being twice the length of the project that I needed. My second snag was, how do I hold it all in place? When I'm watching the tutorials, they're using like a wooden dowel of some description, and I don't know how it's mounted and where it's mounted. So I thought it would be a good idea to use a pencil to attach the macrame cord, and I thought if I attach it to a coat hanger and put the coat hanger on the back of the door, then I could work it down the door frame. However, it was way too high up for me and I can't sustain holding my arms up in the air that long. So I decided in the end to just attach the pencil with some masking tape to my desk. And that worked totally fine. So from the tutorial, I thought I'd try the spiral knot, as it looked like something that would be quite pretty on the hat. So what I did find was my cords were very, very long. With this knot and this pattern, it twisted around and I couldn't remember which side I was meant to be working on, and I kept taking the wrong edge and my twirly twisty pattern wasn't really working out very well. I did abandon this attempt because I realised that actually I probably needed to find an easier knot to start my macrame journey. But on this piece, I also noted that the first few inches of the pattern were a lot looser than the knots further down my length. So I decided that I needed to make sure that all of my knots were very tight on this new length that I'm working on. So I decided to go for the alternating square knot. And all I needed to remember on this one is which side to work from next. So you work from the left and then you work from the right, and then you work from the left and then you work from the right. And it's the same knot all the way down the length of the cord. I did struggle to start with, to keep in my head whether I was working from the left or the right. But what I did find is that the more of the length that I did, the more I got used to seeing which way the threads were or which way the cords were, and then I didn't have to think about whether it was the left or the right I had to use. I could just visually see it, and I just, the repetition of it, I suppose, is what made me remember which side I was working from. I also realised at the start of this that the two inner lengths didn't really move. They're kind of like the bits of cord which hold the knots rather than being the bits of cord that form the knots. So when I measured out the cord for this pattern, I decided to cut my 2 lengths of cord just over 3 times the length I needed in total. And then I adjusted both the cords so that the inner cords were just over the length that I needed, and so the outer cords were over twice the length. I hope that makes sense. So I carried on with this macrame and I got into a rhythm. I really enjoyed it. It was quite difficult at the start because the outer lengths of cord were very long, but they soon shortened the more that I did. Quite important to make sure that your knots are all the same tension, and the lengths of cord that I cut were just enough to make a full length that would fit around my hat. So I got the measurements right, so I was quite pleased about that. Actually, it was quite lucky for a beginner's guess, but yeah. So I'm actually quite pleased with the end result. It is quite basic macrame, but yeah, I do feel like it's been a success. If you're new to macrame, like me, or you've ever wanted to have a go, I do recommend that you start with a basic pattern rather than a more complicated pattern, and pick a simple project as well. I think I will up my game next time I try. Maybe I'll try a bag or a top, who knows. I'll have to have a look at Majestic Macrame's tutorials and see what I can find. But yeah, if you've ever wanted to have a go at macrame, the basic knot that I did here was the alternating square knot. And yeah, give it a go, because who knows what you can create. Thank you for watching this little craft challenge. Do give me a thumbs up if you made it this far. Your support is very much appreciated. And don't forget to check out my video description to see my up and coming schedule of videos.